Secrets of Old Money. Lessons for New Power. In ancient scrolls, the southern coasts of China were often branded as lawless pirate territory. But what few ever realized, it was also the secret birthplace of Asia's earliest offshore financial strategies. From the 17th to 19th centuries, hundreds of thousands of Hokkien Chinese set sail from Fujian, embarking on a perilous journey across the seas to Southeast Asia. They arrived in Vietnam, Siam, the Dutch East Indies, not just as refugees, but as architects of a hidden revolution. They weren't merely seeking refuge, they were forging a parallel financial world, borderless, stateless, and profoundly impactful, a system still thriving beneath the surface today. Chapter 10: Historical Context and the Migrant Network. To truly grasp how Chinese merchant clans perfected the art of hiding and moving their assets across borders, we must first journey back to Ming era China, a time when private wealth was ruthlessly restricted. The Ming and Qing dynasties enforced the infamous Haijin draconian sea bans that strictly outlawed private maritime trade. Any unauthorized commerce was instantly deemed criminal. Confiscation was not just common, it was a weapon. But Fujian was different. The very soul of its people was tied to the sea, not the rice paddies. They were mariners, traders, survivors, and they possessed an ancient wisdom to truly safeguard your wealth. You had to make it disappear. You had to move it. The Fujianese, defying imperial decrees, developed nimble merchant fleets. These weren't just vessels for goods, they were floating vaults. They transported not only precious silks, spices, and exotic goods, but also vast quantities of silver, jade, and priceless commercial know-how. Even their cross-cultural marriages weren't merely personal unions. They were strategic contracts, weaving a complex web of alliances across a new continent. Port cities like Vietnam's Hainan, Siam's Ayutthaya, and the Dutch East Indies' Batavia rapidly became de facto offshore hubs, centuries before the very concept even existed. They were not exceptions, they were prototypes. Chapter 11: The Offshore System before offshore. Chinese merchant families didn't rely on cumbersome safes to hide their wealth. They used something far more resilient. They used relationships. They didn't trust formal banks, which could be seized by the state. Instead, they entrusted their fortunes to bloodlines. Imagine, a shrewd merchant in Fujian might establish a booming factory in Malacca, legally registered under his brother-in-law's trusted name. A massive warehouse in Batavia, legally owned by a local son-in-law, deeply rooted in the community. Vast silver stockpiles discreetly deposited at an ancient temple in Ayutthaya, where the head monk wasn't just a spiritual leader, but a trusted cousin from the very same village. This was their genius: no assets under personal names. Gives wealth was strategically held by relatives, local wives, in-laws. Gives or crucial assets were held by seemingly legitimate entities, powerful guilds, ancient temples, revered family halls. They pioneered a pre-modern trust structure known as ownership-control-execution separation. Gives one individual holds the legal title. Gives another physically operates the business. Gives but a third, often the patriarch, makes all the true strategic decisions. There were no paper trails, no formal contracts, no legal signatures. Yet, everything ran with the precision of a finely tuned clock, governed by an unbreakable clan code, passed down through generations. And the brilliance: if one family member was arrested or a branch went bankrupt, the rest of the vast assets simply stayed invisible, untouchable by outside forces. Chapter 12, the Chearavanont clan. One clan that truly scaled this ancient system into a global, multi-billion-dollar empire is the Chearavanont family, the enigmatic owners of CP Group. Arguably the largest private conglomerate in Thailand and a silent force across Asia. Their ancestors, like so many others, originally hailed from Fujian, eventually settling in Bangkok over a century ago. They began humbly with seeds and fertilizer, expanded strategically into poultry and agriculture, then into telecom, retail, and regional finance, always diversifying, always growing. Today, CP owns over 12,000 7-Eleven stores across Thailand, a ubiquitous presence. They operate True Corporation, one of the largest telecom giants in the country. And their reach extends globally. Significant investments in Tesla, Grab, Ping, and countless other regional and global giants. They manage billions through a complex spiderweb of companies meticulously layered across Hong Kong, Singapore, and the British Virgin Islands. Over 300 subsidiaries, intricate layered ownership, full vertical control, yet remarkably, no clear public leadership that can be easily pinned down. They don't call it offshore, they call it the family. And their entire structure, from the ancient Fujian maritime networks to their modern Bangkok empire, follows that single, timeless core principle. Never put all your wealth in one place. Never truly show who owns it. Chapter 13 Strategic Insights and 3 Core Principles. From these ancient masters, we distill 3 profound lessons for modern power. Lesson 1. Never hold assets in your personal name. Divide ownership, divide control, and truly separate the ultimate power. This creates an impenetrable shield. Lesson 2. Never depend on one jurisdiction. When a nation collapses politically, legally, financially, your wealth must not collapse with it. It must be able to migrate, adapt, survive. Lesson 3. Systems outlive individuals. Founders pass on, leaders change. But a well-built, resilient network lasts across generations, accumulating power exponentially. These ancient clans understood something fundamental. They didn't meticulously draft wills, easily challenged or public. They carved their true legacy, not on paper, but into the very psyche of the family. They wrote family constitutions. Chapter 14 Modern Parallels. Today, the tools have evolved. We have Delaware trusts, discreet Singapore family offices, enigmatic Cayman shell companies, but the underlying fundamentals are absolutely identical. Gives separate liability, gives obscure true ownership, gives shield wealth from seizure, from lawsuits, from divorces, from economic collapse. The truly wealthy understand this timeless truth. No asset is genuinely safe if it's too visible, from a humble wooden trade ship navigating the ancient waters of Hoi An, to billions in Tesla equity held discreetly via a Singaporean holding company. The true gap isn't about the mindset, the gap is merely technology. When ancient governments sought to control the treasury, Resourceful migrant clans found ways to send their silver overseas out of reach. When modern states exert control over the banking system, the new elite turned to crypto, to physical gold, to private, untraceable trusts. Laws will always change. They are designed to adapt, to enclose, but real wealth, it intrinsically stays outside the law's reach. In our next episode, we'll uncover a different, equally formidable kind of power, the Salt Kings. Families who not only controlled monopolies on salt, the most strategic commodity of the ancient world, but wielded that control to dominate the state itself from behind the scenes. Ancient financial secrets, what the emperors feared, what the elites still use.